Hello all and welcome to the video. We're going to be going over exactly what it is that I look to do in my arena games. Essentially it is a kind of a VOD review almost. We're going to be talking about what I'm doing well, what I'm not doing, what I could have done better, how the general game plays out and what we're sort of going through, the thought process of what is happening at the time. This is going to be mostly unpausing. I'm not going to be pausing and unpausing. I'm kind of trying to just let it run for as much as I can, but there might be still some like pausing in the middle. But as you can see, we obviously are against a caster cleave right here, Frostmage Ellie. So we've got double grounding, triple CCs to go off, and we have our comp. We are a Beast Mastery and a Boomie comp. We kind of like these matchups. We're very much better into the PvE kind of comp. So this comp is kind of perfect for us because it isn't a melee cleave. We're not going to have to be charging around 24/7. We can just out PvE them, and we kind of want to dictate the pace. So we get everything immediately. We get the um, Astral straight away. I call to my teammate that he does not have a trinket. This is because he racialed out of my root beam earlier. So he doesn't have any trinket, and we just try and apply as much pressure as we can. Our healer is sat right in the back line. This is to prevent them from ever getting CC on them, and we're basically saying, okay, we just kind of wait until our next go. We sent it all. Now we just got to wait. We kind of just PvE them, and if they try and dictate the pace, we will punish them if they push out. So we just tab targeting here, not doing too much. We're kind of waiting for our next root beam and go. The mage started to blink out into midfield a bit, so we're just saying, okay, we'll hit him. I've got my root beam, so I'm telling my teammate to start doing some damage. I'm going to look to CC. I get the CC on both of the shamans. The shaman tries to hex me for some reason. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. We get the ice block out of it because ultimately where we're positioned, we can punish them a lot for trying to overextend and get the CC on our healer. They all need to push in at the same time in order to get that CC essentially. So this will come back to bite them in the future, this ice block, because once again, he's pushed in. He does get the polymorph this time. And what this does is get my renewal and mark skin. But it also just means that that's, their last defensive as well through ice block because he sat out there tanking way too much damage from my hunter passively. And we know that the kill target is now this mage because he is very susceptible to dying. We know that we'll have a go very soon. We have root beam in 10. We have stun traps and stuff. So we're just waiting for that. We're kind of waiting for the incarn as well to send it. We're trying to get into position now. So root beam is what we go off of. He is racialed out of this. So what I'm communicating to my hunter right here is that he cannot trinket for 30 seconds because he used his racial. So any CC that we've got, we're going to send it now. So here we're trying to get aggressive, even though it looks like they've popped all their cooldowns, they don't realize how much danger they're in. So we get the stun and we just go for the aggressive play here. I should have been a lot quicker and Alkin or wild charged around the corner essentially to get the last star surges off. But I didn't know if the grounding totem was going to eat my last attack. This match was a very slow-paced match due to the fact that it was a double caster comp. We kind of like dictating the pace of this because Resto Shaman for one is notorious for not going and our Mistweaver Monk would have went so where we were positioned kind of won us the game. They had to constantly try and punch through myself and my hunter in order to even get to our healer. Our healer was just playing a very safe game, and if they would have tried to push on top of her, we would have punished it a lot more heavily with stuns, sweeps, incaps, and stuff like that. But positioning ultimately is your biggest friend in this matchup because they don't allow you to do anything that, or we don't allow them to do anything that might put us in any form of danger, like, oh, we're in massive trouble here. And I will show you another game where it is against double melee, which is the primary composition that you come up against in this part of the season. So we have a melee composition here. We obviously have the Ret Paladin along with the Windwalker Monk, the double monk. Now, we originally thought this was going to be a Fist Weaver because they're just all over the ladder right now. So our primary target when when they didn't have a trinket would have been the Fist Weaver. So I saw him rolling in here, and I was like, okay, my hunter can just send it on him, and I'll look to CC these two, so that they can't support their Fist Weaver. But little did we know that it actually isn't a Fist Weaver; it's just a normal Mist Weaving monk. So we call that out, and we know what our main target is now, and that is the Windwalker monk. Now, as they connect here, I probably could have saved my wild charge. Here, I'm trying to pop my renewal bark skin, absolutely everything at the quickest convenience, and get my income rolling. This is purely because the obviously natural vigil heal is something to help my healer just consistently top myself up. It won't be enough to save you, but it's enough to sort of keep us rolling. Here, I try and duke for some kicks, get precognition, and just clone their go now. This is full wings, full paladin wings, and I just want to kite as much as I can. What I should have done here is try to clone the paladin off of my clone before the Windwalker actually got to me. This way, it would have been a 3-second clone rather than trying to punch damage into the Mistweaver to try and kill him. Here, I'm just looking to kite. I know my healer is in a lot of CC, so I'm trying to just kite, keep them away, keep my distance, and not get anything, caught up in anything, essentially. We had to trade out Cocoon here. I did go for the Root Beam to try and reverse this pressure that we have on us, and we did actually manage to get Trinket out of the Mistweaver as well as Bop. So we know that we've kind of got everything from them, but essentially we need more. And he's going to have wings coming up very soon, probably within the next couple of seconds. So we're calling, or I'm communicating to my healer that I'm going to just stay like up here essentially and stay very far because they're going to go very soon. And it's very adamant because the monk and the paladin both kind of look to reset. The monk looks to CC, and this is where they're going. I do not ever kite on top of my healer, or I do try not to. We get a very nice small CC chain here from my hunter, and essentially that gives us the window of opportunity to get another cooldown from the monk as well as lay on hands. The massive cocoon here is huge for us. I charge the Mistweaver here to try and stop the Song of Chiji, and then I immediately kite away from my healer. I do not want these melee on top of my healer at all. Here, I'm just trying to fish for cyclones. I know that the paladin does not have a kick, so I know that whenever I get some sort of space, I can try and guarantee a cyclone. It will help out my hunter in terms of getting more CC and more pressure out on the map. The the Windwalker monk is our main target, so that's what I try and go to. But he's way too far, so I just go up to the top here and sort of keep my distance, essentially. Here they're looking to pressure my monk and CC, so I counter with my own pressure, and I just absolutely send everything on this monk to try and get their Mistweaver off of my Mistweaver, purely on the basis that if I don't send it there, their Mistweaver has a lot of time to just fully CC my monk. Here, the Mistweaver actually misclicked his trinket and tried to trinket a full trap, but the trap was super DR'd and he didn't realise, so he ended up trinketing into an immediate clone. This one's a bit scrappy, but ultimately you want to just try and kite the melees as much as possible. You do not want them on you at all in any circumstance, purely on the basis that they just will pump so much damage into you and your healer will eventually go We knew that we had to end it very quickly this game, purely on the basis that otherwise our healer would have needed to drink. If you take a look at the mana difference, it is very substantial and very much heavily favoured in their favour. So we knew that we had to end this relatively quick, but it's just getting through each and every one of them cooldowns. Whoever the target isn't, primarily you're trying to be on top of their healer and keep him annoyed. You want to be a nuisance for him. You want to constantly CC him, clone him, kick him, push him, root him. You want to do absolutely everything that you can. But as a boomkin primarily, whenever the melees have their cooldowns up, you're looking to kite if your healer is in CC. Bear form is great, but the only thing with bear form, it's tough to actually get going again. So primarily, if your healer is free, you want them to utilize what they can to keep you topped up. And that means that you can put counter pressure on them, and counter pressure is actually a form of defense itself more than anything. But I'll show you one more game with a paladin and a lock, which is a very um, lucrative combo at the moment. So here is the final game I wanted to show you guys. This is a very common composition that we come up against currently in this patch 10.0.7. It is Paladin Warlock. Usually it's a demo lock, but this guy was Destro. We don't know if it's a Fist Weaver or not. Every time it's a Fist Weaver, we like to go them in the stuns, but this one wasn't in the end. So it was just the normal sort of CC and hit the Warlock mainly. So the Paladins ran off really fast, so I initiate with the Root Beam and just start getting my dots rolling, essentially. Nothing too crazy. Paladin freedoms himself and the Warlock, so I try to fish for a Cyclone. Don't get it, but this guy pops everything, and I Cyclone him, and I tell my team to just run. We have pressed nothing at the moment, so if we can just kite the wings and do whatever we can to get rid of these wings, it's absolutely beneficial for us. So we're just kiting, and because of where they are, this Paladin is really adamant to kill me. I say, can you CC the monk? I'm going to send it on this Paladin because of where he is. So we do the go, and essentially we get quite a lot out of it. We get Revival, we get the Paladin's Wall, and a couple other things. But we're just looking to pump out as much damage as we can because we kited their burst, their big scary burst on the Paladin wings. We're constantly switching targets, keeping the monk questioning who we're killing. And because this paladin was line of sighting the monk, essentially we called for the go to be on him again. Again, I fish for a cyclone whenever I can. I should be decursing myself here. I didn't take my decurse build, which is a bit shit. But here they both panic. It's a trinket cocoon and a bubble. This is a miscom on their part massively. And this has put them behind purely because the paladin went round a corner. He line of sighted his healer, and we capitalized on it. We, as a comp, we're very good at capitalizing on mistakes made by the enemy team, and that's what you need to do in any sort of melee composition that you're facing. Any mistakes they made, you can definitely capitalize on it. So here, what I should be doing, I should be trying to cyclone the paladin. I don't know if I do or not, but essentially he has full wings up, so I'm looking to kite. I know that I need to kite. I know that my healer's in CC, and we're trying to save the healer trinket here. So I basically go in bear form, start kiting, get my frenzy. My monk gets a really good leg sweep, and that allows us to somewhat pile on the pressure for us. Here, we get so much pressure out just raw damage wise when the healer's in very small CCs, like a small DR trap, scatter, that kind of thing. I make a nice play here with the bash into the Duke and then the clone. Here we can actually win the game if I simply just Typhoon or my Hunter kicks. We don't pick up on it because essentially this Paladin's got nothing. Paladin is our main target now because we got Bubble so early. It's such a good cooldown to get through so early on. And we can easily win it here if we're just a bit more on top of it, knowing what we have, because we're kind of both thinking, oh, we're out and stuff. And I think my Hunter's saving the kick just in case I drop low for the Warlock, such as Chaos Bolts, that kind of thing. But alas, we didn't necessarily win it here. We could have won this in multiple places, but we just weren't sharp enough on it tonight. We know that we have to end these sort of fights quite quickly, purely because they have the melee and Ret Paladins, and their uptime are so ridiculous right now with their wings. It's insane. So here I get the memo a bit late, and I do Typhoon eventually, but the chance is gone. We know that the next setup is the next go, essentially, is the next kill. Here I make the mistake of getting Astral Lock, so I'm kind of useless for that time. The bear form it is, and just kite. I know that they want to CC my healer because the paladin runs straight to my healer here, I'm pretty sure. And this is when I think, okay, I've got a kite. I need to just go. So bear form, frenzy, and just kite. I call this to my team. I make sure that I'm comming with my team here. And it's like, be careful, they might switch you. They do. My hunter pops sack for it. This allows me to get a lot of CC on the healer. And it allows the split pressure. We're kind of stretching them where we're positioned right now. The paladin doesn't know who to go for, where to go, that kind of thing. And this pulls the monk into very awful positions because we're constantly CCing him. We're constantly just babysitting him almost. And the Paladin just doesn't care. He's off on his own adventure. He's a Paladin after all. Sorry for those who play Paladin. I do get scared here and put my Shadow Meld. Shadow Meld, by the way, a very good defensive if you don't know. And my Renewal. Also, the Life Cocoon was very good. It managed to keep me going. Here, we know that my Hunter did get scared for me, so he did trap the Warlock, the Undispellable trap Diamond Eyes, because we've gotten lucky with shooting stars before. But in these sort of matchups, in melee matchups, he does run the normal trap. Here we think, okay, we've got a really good chance very soon. He's got nothing. I've got so much damage. My Hunter is coming to me that he has loads of damage. And I'm just looking to fish here. The Paladin isn't on me, so I'm looking to fish for a Cyclone. Here is actually when we would win it. But the weird thing is, I have the Monk targeted. This is a double leg sweep. Neither of them have Trinket. I can lock this guy with my beam. I just used it, but look at where the beam is. I have targeted him, and I have just pressed this beam. The beam hits the Paladin, and I have no idea how or why. But this would have won us the game right here if the beam had hit him, because it would have locked him from his cast. Whether or not he's in the route or not, because he can get out of it as a gnome, he is locked. And this Paladin is getting pumped by my Hunter, essentially. My Hunter's got a lot of damage rolling. He's got BM up, and he's just pumping damage. So not sure what happened there, but it is what it is. So it's unfortunate. I call it like, oh, well, it is what it is, and we just keep going. We know that we have an opportunity, and I try and fish for clones here. I eventually get the precognition. I decide to go and clone the Paladin because it is scary at the moment with wings, and I decide to kite. We know that we will get the opportunity soon. We don't need to rush this. So I've kited very far, and this allows me to actually get my damage rolling. Again, I just kite. Whenever my healer's in CC, that's when I kite. I get a very nice charge around the corner, bash Cyclone, and we can just start pumping this Paladin, essentially. My healer is free, just pumping heals into myself and the Hunter, and I know that I can be free to somewhat do just damage. It gives me precognition here for some reason, and I don't quite understand why. I clone the off target just so he can't appeal or do anything, and then I switch the clones over, and I clone him low on his Shield of Vengeance, knowing that I've got a beam very soon to end the game. So here, double leg sweep, amazing leg sweep. It gives me it gives him the trinket. He uses his trinket for it, and I know that he's feeling a bit pressured. So I go for the immediate trinket into a solar beam to stop the cast and interrupt him, because his Paladin, he knows his Paladin is in massive danger. Here, again, a massive cocoon because the Warlock is just pumping me. My healer was really on top of it this game. And I call that the healer is locked, and my Hunter gets a follow-up trap off of it. We have so much damage going into this Paladin right now, and he dies in the trap before he can get the cocoon off. This one is really weird because they weren't the best players. I will say that. They were not the best players, but it's a Paladin at the moment, and they are still very, very good. It's all about your timing. It's about timing when to essentially kite, when to essentially do damage, when to put pressure on, when to re-put your pressure on as a defense rather than use it as like a pure offense thing. So use it as your defense, your offense. It's an intricate game. I heard someone describe it as rocket science playing Boomie, and it's quite fun. I quite like that description because you're constantly juggling so many different aspects of the game, like in terms of forms and stuff. But my healer was really on top of it. My Hunter does work when he's not being trained as well, in terms of CC, and I do work whenever I'm not being trained as well. We're very much looking to always peel with clones if you are ever free. Whenever you get a couple of, or a yard or two of space against melees, whether it be a melee cleave or even a single melee, look to clone. Always look to clone and get that CC off because it is very, very important to do so. But that is it for this one. Thanks all very much for tuning in. Take care, and I hope the rest of the season pans out the way you want. Peace all.